Principals, this is Sandra Williams from EI360. Today we're going to talk about start, stop, and continue. These are some of the things, these ideas that maybe you should stop, maybe you should start, and some of the things that you can continue to nurse. So I know principals are continuing to struggle, and they are working harder than ever. They're struggling because the job has become unsustainable and complex, right? And so this is the season, about not adding to your plate, but helping you kind of decide what strategically, what to start, what to stop, and what to continue doing to sustain yourself in the long term. So the reality about elementary school principals is that the goal is we want you, like the world, society, wants you to be expected to be instructional leaders, build the culture of the school, and crisis management, which is happening every day in your buildings, as well as think about how do I retain my teachers and my specialists. All that before you even check your email or go to lunch, right? So we know teacher turnover is high. We know students are intense, let me just say, and their needs are intense. Many leaders are carrying this weight. So they are not only crisis managers, but carrying the weight quietly, independently in their rooms, in their spaces. So the real question is, what do you do, or how do you handle this? And so instead of saying how can I juggle these things, what are we going to stop doing so that the work at least becomes sustainable? So I say this is where leadership begins. Where do we need to actually start? Pretty much leading is with learning. So when our principals prioritize instructional leadership, teachers feel more supported versus feeling monitored. So when we're working on building collaborative teams, whether it be grade level, PLCs, teachers stop feeling isolated and they know that they have the advocacy in you to where they can collaborate and share ideas and goals. And when you listen more to some of the concerns that are happening in your individual grade levels, teachers' voices become the sheer data source that you are looking for, and they're less likely to be resistant. So as well as, so we're listening when we're talking, the voice are becoming the data source. And then if we start here, that strengthens our teacher retention at the same time. So really looking at how do I prioritize my instructional leadership? What do I need to do to build collaborative teams around the 1 to 2 goals that I have per year? And how do we scooch in, right? How do we listen to what their concerns are and, take action and just hear the voices in the room? Now, to be an instructional leader, you have to have presence. Research shows that when principals are visible, you got to be visible in the classroom. You can't, as a teacher, go in there and say, I've only evaluated you, this is a second evaluation, although I'm not here often, so let me kind of evaluate you on just a couple of checkpoints or a couple of things that I've seen, right? Being visible in the classroom at least once or twice a week you're in the classroom, even if it's just check-ins, grounded in instruction. We want teachers to stay, and it isn't about compliance at this moment. It's just about walkthroughs, and it's about your presence. I see you, I care you, I hear you, how can I help, right? And the irony is some people think that instructional leadership doesn't have the biggest impact, but yet it is often the first thing that kind of is taken over by many of the operational demands. So always understand that, of course, our research leads it all. It tells us that we need to be visible in our classrooms, and teachers are more likely to stay when your leadership is clear and you are present. Okay, so that was the start. So now we're going to talk about some things that I see that I think we should kind of stop so it doesn't fuel this burnout, because I'm starting to see a lot of principals that are overwhelmed and are burnt out. So some of the things that we've kind of normalized is people burning out. The hero leadership, it feels noble. I can do it all. But of course, we know it's not sustainable. Compliance, kind of erodes trust as well. So ignoring adult well-being in your building sends that message that, this is the cost of commitment. But again, if you are not having self-care for yourself and you're driving your teachers to not have self-care for them, we want to make sure that these practices are modeled. So with you, of course, stop trying to do everything yourself. Your leadership teams, we work as a unit, and stop leading through compliance. Again, and then stop ignoring the well-being of yourself as well as your teaching staff. So I want to bring this up, just the cost of micromanagement. It's, if we want innovation, we want teachers to adapt to the change in time, to even incorporate AI into their lessons, we kind of have to stop punishing them for their professional judgment, right? Teachers went to school for years, right? And sometimes we have our veteran teachers that not only need support with innovation, but not necessarily need the micromanagement, right? Because micromanagement tells our teachers that, yeah, I don't trust you. And once again, once your teachers don't trust you, it's very hard to rebuild that. So, unclear, consistent, shifting expectations, right? What is our goals are pretty much the top reasons people, like teachers, choose to leave. Clarity, certainty kind of retains people. And then it kind of helps them navigate the next few months. So really thinking of what are you doing in your space that sends that message of I don't trust you, and make sure you're working and your team, your coaches and your AP are not micromanaging your teaching staff. So things that I want to see more of, the things that I want you to continue, even though it's hard, is building those trustful relationships. Even though it's so difficult, some of these basic things still work, and we don't want to kind of get rid of them. But the relationship trust, build those everyday moments, celebrating growth is a second one, not just outcomes. What are our goals? Yes, that's our goal, but we have made growth towards our goal. Remind teachers that they are seen, what they're doing, the hard work that they are doing is always being seen. And then when leaders kind of continue their learning path, it gives everybody permission to try to grow, right? We lead by example. So this is how schools pretty much stabilize during this continuous change. So we will continue doing this as a leader. We will continue nurturing our teachers and celebrating their wins and their growth. Again, I hate to say this, but this is one thing we kind of can't get rid of or ignore. Trust is like the non-negotiables, right? Teachers, they forgive mistakes, but repeated breaks in trust make teachers stay close to impossible. And trust isn't built through like big ideas, big goals, big initiatives. It's kind of built through your follow through, your communication, your transparency, your responding without being defensive, and slowly but surely this works, those trustful relationships. But this is the work that lasts, and this is the work that is truly meaningful, that will carry you on throughout your school year. All right, how do we lead through and with intention, right? This is the framework and moving forward. I love to kind of give us little mini solutions to kind of start this train moving. So I will say start very strategically. Stop intentionally, right? Eliminate those habits that you have that fuel burnout, and then continuously to be deliberate and sustaining the work, building that trust through relationships. Like I said, leadership must be both kind of that teeter-totter, very strategic, but deeply human. When we as leaders and principals lead with kind of the intention, schools become places where not only we are growing and we're trying new things, but our teachers are looking at us as a model, and are growing as well. All right, I hope you love this. This was a 3-part series. This is for elementary. Next, I'll be doing middle school. And finally, I'll be doing high school. But really thinking of this work, of course, we know matters. We want to build schools that last, and I kind of want to leave you with this, it's to lead more intentionally and be very intentional about our work. And this work matters. People in your building matters. What they're going through, their emotions, their highs, their lows, all that matters. And kind of when we lead with this clarity on, 1 to 2 goals, 1 to 2 focuses, and consistency and care, we build these schools that last in these relationships that makes it all worth doing. Even the hard work, it makes it all worthwhile. I hope you enjoy. Talk to you later. Bye.